No, madam.
Clear, right? So we are
madam.
further moving on to the next part. Just a second. Okay. So we had discussed what demand is. First part of demand is done. What demand is, what are the important factors that influences demand, how is law of demand derived, what is the shape of the demand curve. Then we moved on to some exceptions. There are certain goods which does not follow law of demand. All these are done in detail. So keep in your mind all the important factors. Then we are moving on to some changes in demand. Okay. Now, there are particularly two important reasons for changes in demand. One is when the price of the commodity alone changes. Price changes. When this happens, it is expected that all other factors remain same. Okay. Other than the price, we have seen price of related commodity, income of the consumer, your taste and all, it is expected to remain same. And we see that price is the reason for changes in quantity demand. And this leads to what is known as expansion and contraction of demand. So why demand changes? One particular reason for change in demand is changes in the price of the commodity, which in economics is particularly known as expansion and contraction of demand. So you have, I'll make use of the graph here. Demand measured on x-axis and price is measured on y-axis. You have the normal demand curve, which is downward sloping. And initially your price is P1, and at P1 price, as a consumer, I'm demanding Q1 quantity. What could be the possible reason for me to purchase more of the same commodity? More means I have to go to the right side of Q1, right? What made me purchase more of the same commodity? What could have been the possible reason?
Needs, madam.
Your needs. But in first instance, what could have been your particular reason for purchasing more of it?
Shortage of it.
No.
Change in price.
I gave, yeah, change price. Price might have come down. I gave you an example now when you were detailing about the clothes, your garments, etc. I was initially intended to planning only purchase one dress material. But when I went into the shop, I came to know that the price of that commodity is half of what I was expecting it. Will I not purchase two of it? When price is lower than the initial price or earlier price, the consumer will try to expand his consumption, and that is particularly known as expansion. Expansion of demand. Okay, expansion of demand takes place when price falls due to the decline in price, the consumer purchasing more of it. And opposite can also happen. When price is higher when the expected when compared to that of the expected price, the consumer will tend to purchase less of it. Okay, this is in the opposite direction. Increased price causing the consumer to purchase less of it is known as contraction of demand. Okay, I hope expansion and contraction is clear. Expansion of demand takes place when reduced price leading to increased consumption or increased demand of a commodity. Contraction of demand takes place when increased price causing reduced consumption. So expansion and contraction is very particular that it takes place on the same demand curve. Okay, the consumer is moving from a higher point to a lower point. It means that he is expanding his demand. When he is moving from a lower point to the upper point or higher point on the same demand curve, it leads to contraction of demand. Is the first case clear? We just inquired or looked into how changes in demand takes place and how it happens when the prices are the first factor that causes the changes in demand. Confusion? Any clarification required? I'm going on to the next one, which is other factors changing, okay? Second reason for change in demand is other factors changing. Somebody mentioned when your need changes, when your family requirements changes, this causes you to change, bring about changes in demand. Other factors changes. When other factors change, we expect the price to remain the same. There is no change in the price of the commodity. Price is the same, but other factors change. So quantity demanded and price of the commodity. Demand curve is a downward sloping curve. I was initially purchasing Q1 quantity. What could have asked me to, what could have led me to purchase more of it? Q2 quantity. Or less of it? Q3 quantity. What could be the possible reason?
Change in price.
Change in what could have been the possible reasons why, as a consumer, I'm shifting my consumption from a normal quantity to some abnormal quantity? It can go either higher or lower. Kindly participate.
What, madam?
Increase in the size of the family, maybe.
Okay. Changes in the size of the family. Earlier, you were only 3 members or 4 members. Now there is an increase or decrease in the size of the family. This could alter your requirements, right? Fine. Other than that,
Increase or decrease in income affected?
yeah. When I'm earning more income, it will obviously lead me to purchase more of a commodity if it is falling under normal or superior good. Hope that point is clear. When my income falls, I'll obviously bring down my consumption. Okay. Here you have to keep in mind that there is no change in price. Somebody mentioned there is a change in price. It's wrong. Other than price, what could be other reasons why your demand is changing? So if you are planning to increase your consumption at the same price, your demand curve shifts to the right. As we have already mentioned, somebody already said your family size could have increased. This causes demand curve to shift towards right. Same way, if your family size has fallen, members might have shifted to some other place. So this causes the demand curve to shift towards left, causing you to consume lesser. So rightward shift of demand means there is an increase in the quantity of the commodity demanded, and leftward shift means there is a decline in the quantity of the commodity demanded. Fine. Seasonal changes. In winter, you will be demanding more of winter clothes, warm clothes, etc. In summer, its demand falls. Your income increases, you will be demanding more of some particular commodity. Income falls, you will be demanding less of that commodity. Okay. Now, government putting restriction on certain consumption of a particular commodity. To which direction will the demand curve shift?
Downwards.
Left.
Leftwards. Government has introduced a new law. This is a situation. Government implements new policy or new regulations that restricts the consumption of a particular good. That means a leftward shift or downward shift. As somebody said, it is downward or leftward shift of the demand curve. Same way, government can relax the consumption, right? Sometimes government gives you like you can consume as much as you want. there is no restriction in the consumption, there will be a rightward shift of the demand curve. Fine?
Okay, madam.
Okay. Read the question, give the answer in the chat box, please.
Right side.
Question I have written is price of the substitute good increases. So how will it influence its substitutes demand? It's a rightward shift. So when price of a substitute good increases means positive relationship. So to which direction will the price change? The same direction the demand for the commodity will also change. So it's a rightward shift or the upward shift of the demand curve. Okay. So there is a decline in the substitute goods price will lead or will cause for the leftward shift of the demand curve. Right. So there are two reasons why what do we say, demand changes. One is the price of the commodity alone shifting, changing, causing for expansion and contraction. When the other factors change and we assume the price of the commodity to remain the same, it is known as shifting of the demand curve. Okay. Shifting of the demand curve takes place when price of other factors remain constant, leading to other price of the commodity remaining constant and other factors changing. That leads to what is known as shifting of the demand curve. Am I clear? Am I erasing the board?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next part is we will be dealing with some numerical part. It's not given in your what do we say, that Macmillan book, but obviously you can expect a few questions here and there on the same pertaining to your exam point of view. This is known as elasticity of demand. It's very important. We'll have three types of demand over here, elasticity. One is the price elasticity, second one is the income elasticity, and the third one is the what do we say it, cross elasticity. Okay, three elasticity: price elasticity, income elasticity, and the cross elasticity. See what elasticity is. This is a concept that has been borrowed from your physics science stream. Elasticity is how a commodity, matter has got the ability of expanding and contracting. So same thing, we are applying that in demand and supply. And we are looking forward to check how far demand can expand and contract when you are applying pressure in the form of changes in price, pressure in the form of changes in income, or pressure in the form of changes in the related commodities price. So first one is price elasticity. The definition for price elasticity is degree of responsiveness of change in quantity demanded with respect to change in price. Okay, and this is a particular equation, elasticity of price. You denote it as EP, elasticity of price is equal to delta QD of X, particular commodity is X, with respect to change in, delta is change in the price of the commodity, delta stands for change, price of the commodity, into price of the commodity, initial price of the commodity, first price of the commodity with respect to the first quantity demand. So this is the equation, and you will actually get a negative value, but we take only the absolute value in terms of elasticity. So the range of elasticity is between 0 and infinity. We'll take it in the absolute sense or the modulus value. 0 means there is perfect inelastic in the commodity. Your elasticity or the demand curve will be a vertical straight line. Hope you remember we were discussing about the salt, medicines, etc., where your quantity is fixed irrespective of change in price. So your demand curve will be a vertical straight line, whatever be the price, even if it is 0 rupees or 1,000 rupees. Certain commodities are there which you are purchasing in fixed quantity, and its elasticity, there will be no change in the numerator. So as a result, your numerator remains 0. So some value 0 divided by any particular number is going to give you 0 as your answer. So demand curve is vertical straight line for all those commodities whose quantity, change in quantity is going to remain the same. You're going to purchase a fixed quantity. An extreme case of it is elasticity equal to infinity. There is no real life example for this. It only shows that it goes to this extreme. It will be a horizontal straight line. Price remaining the same, price being constant, your demand is changing to a very large extent. Let the price be 10 rupee. Today you are purchasing 100 kg. Tomorrow you are purchasing no quantity at all. So at a given price, your demand is changing to a very large extent. Then the elasticity will be equal to infinity. No particular example for it. Anyway, it only shows demand curve can be vertical straight line or horizontal straight line. Okay. We'll do a few problems. Give your answers in the chat box. Please don't shout out the answer. Answers. Okay. So here, change in quantity demanded, you can see it has moved from 100 units to 70 units. That means there is a drop of 30 units, right? The quantity has decreased from consumption of 100 units to 70 units. But the price has increased. It was earlier 25, now it has gone up to 15 and gone up to 40. That means there is a increment of 15. Initial price is 25 and initial quantity demanded as a result is at 25 rupees, the consumer was purchasing 100 quantities. So you have 1, 4, 2 by 4, which is equal to 0.5. Yeah, 1 by 2, 0.5. So your elasticity is equal to 0.5. Is it clear? all your resources so that the problem of our requirements, human requirements, are basically being met without any failure. Now, I'll give you an example. I'm having like around some amount of land or some piece of land upon which I have two options. Either I can go for the production of cloth, I'll say like cotton, whatever material I want to produce with the help of the land. And the second one, I can go for the production of wheat. It can be any part. It can be either the money you are having, the land you are owning, or the labor. I am a single person. At a given point of time, I can make use of my time by taking classes for you, or doing household chores, or going out for a recreation. So how I am wisely utilizing my time is another problem, right? What is to be done by my time, by me during a particular point of time, and how it should be used is a very important, serious question. See, for example, what did I write over here? Just a second. I wrote cotton and cloth together. Fine. Okay. So I'm producing cotton or wheat. That is my option. But if I feel like I want to produce both together on the particular piece of land, if I'm using all of my land for production of cotton, this would be my quantity that is being produced. And if I am planning to produce, I'm making use of my land for production of wheat, this amount of wheat shall be produced. But imagine every landowner or farmer, hypothetical situation, okay, like me, is using their land for the production of wheat alone. Don't we want enough amount of cotton to so that we can get enough amount of a textile material, right? If I'm converting, if like me, everybody is converting their land towards the production of cotton, then how are we going to fulfill our hunger? That is a serious problem. So how it has to be used is very important. If we are having a population who is very hungry all the time, then most of our resources should be diverted towards the production of wheat. If we are having a population who are good in their fulfilling their hunger, and they don't have enough amount of apparels or textile material to cover their nudity, then more of cotton has to be produced. This is the combination. This is the question which always helps you to understand what your society or economy is requiring and how you have to meet the requirements of the society. Okay, and this is the first curve which you are learning, and this curve is known as production possibility curve. In short, it is known as PPC. Learn the definition, because I've seen in questions like they will give you the definition and ask you what it is related to. The definition is the amount of goods produced by an economy with the available resources and technology. Okay, it's a combination of goods that is being produced or provided by an economy with whatever resources they have and the technology they are equipped with. So that is what production possibility curve is. When you move from one point on the production possibility curve to the other point of production possibility curve, you can see that your production varies. Sometimes you may give more importance to good X, sometimes you may give more importance to good Y. That is the first question, okay? What is to be produced and then what quantity? Second one is how it has to be produced. How it is produced. Now, second serious question that comes forward is, you have already decided what you have to produce, whether you should give importance to production of wheat or cloth. And nextly, what comes forward with you, your decision is how you are planning to produce it. You have basically three techniques, but two important techniques which we are all familiar with is labor-intensive technique of production. Labor-intensive technique where more labor is used and less amount of capital is used. Okay, second one is capital intensive technique. Capital intensive technique means where you're using more of capital and less of labor. See, these are practically possible when that factor is abundantly available in any economy. For example, a country like India where you have more labor, or a populated country like India, you can find labor is cheaply available and capital is much more capital is much more expensive. So more labor means high amount of human resource, and when human resource is available, you can find cheap availability of labors, right? And at that time, capital would be more expensive. Same way, a capital-rich country or advanced country, they have more capital, more techniques available, or you can say tools and equipments available. So as a result, capital just does not mean that you are dealing only with the finance-related thing. It relates to all your, tools and equipments, techniques of production, or the skills which are acquired. Those are included under capital-intensive techniques. So more capital techniques are being used. As a result, for them, it is cheap to make use of capital rather than the labor. But we know that you cannot find a country which is now completely depending upon capital and avoiding the labor. Even if India is rich with 130 crore people, we are not completely depending upon labor alone. You will have certain areas where you can, not like certain, most of the areas where combination of labor and capital is being used. Those kind of technique of production is known as neutral technique of production. Okay, those are known as neutral technique of production, where you are using both the techniques, labor intensive, labor as well as capital, in more or less equal proportion. Neutral technique of production, equal proportion of the usage of labor and capital, which is commonly used in all countries these days. Third problem, central problem of an economy is you should target who should be the consumer, for whom to produce. Okay, for whom to produce is a next serious question. You have seen how it has to be produced, what method should be applied for the production, and next important target is for whom you have to produce. I'll give the explanation for this question with the help of one example of Indian economy. As I said, we are having 130, you can basically say 135 plus crore people in our country, which is classified into two on the basis of age. One is a dependent population, where you can find group 15 years less and 64 years above people, and the second one you can find all the other people who are falling in the category of independent population, 15 to 64 years of age group. Which population is greater in our country? As per the last census report, it is 2011 census report. Which population is higher?
Dependent.
15 to 64.
Yeah, 15 to 64. That our country is the only country where you can find such a great amount of youth or working population to be higher in comparison to any other highly populated countries of the world. So you are having close to 63%. This is based upon the last census report. Government has not yet come up with the new census report, and the remaining close to 37% is included under the dependent category. Okay, dependent category and independent category. So can you see, if all the goods and services are to be produced for only dependent people, you can find independent category people are just washed away without fulfilling their requirements. See, I'll give you an example. You are making use of your financial resources for producing more of medicines for older people, more of baby diapers. You're using your materials only for that purpose or for producing those commodities, but you are just neglecting the independent group fully. That is a kind of bias that is being created. So it's very important for an economy to find out which is the targeted group. Classification is done basically on the basis of the age composition. So majority will be used for fulfilling the needs of the independent group. Definitely you have to take into consider the needs of our dependent group as well, but it's not like giving more importance to the needs of dependent category. So these are the three central problems: what is to be produced and how you can solve it is with the help of production possibility curve. And how it is to be produced, you can make use of the technique of production. Generally, most of the countries in the world today is making use of neutral technique of production. And last one is for whom it is to be produced depends upon the age composition of the population. Okay. Are the three central problems clear?
Clear, madam.
Okay. Shall I erase the board?
Yes, madam.
Last part of this chapter, just 5 more minutes. I'm done with the first unit. Last part of the chapter is dealing with the types of economies. This you will all you are like literally familiar with this portion. Types of economies based upon who is giving answer to the three central problems which we have discussed. How or why it is being provided such a solution, that is helping us classify economies into three different categories. One is the capitalist economy, which is known as a market economy. We are all familiar with this. Socialist economy, which is known as the command economy. And third one is a combination of the first two, which is better known as a mixed economy. We usually say capitalist economy is a private sector economy. It is not like that. All the three problems, what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce, if the solution for those three problems are provided by the market forces, you will learn what market forces are in detail in the second chapter. That is demand and supply. If it is in a position of providing you the answer for what, how, and for whom question, then we can say that kind of economy is actually following the ideologies of capitalist economy. And the specialty of capitalist economy is it is an extreme case of laissez-faire. I told you what laissez-faire is. There will be minimum government intervention. They want their economy to be fully controlled by the market. It's not like private individuals are controlling. Market is actually controlling the economy. So they will be giving importance to profit maximization. Market definitely looks forward to the production of those goods which are giving more and more profit to the producers, and they will definitely take into account the consumers or the customer's choice, right? Customer's choice means those commodities only will be produced where you can find customers are demanding repeatedly without any break. They will stop production once its need is seen to be fulfilled. So such kind of an economy where all these factors are seen is known as capitalist economy. Same, if you put it in the opposite direction, all the decisions regarding how it has to be produced, for whom it has to be produced, and all taken by a state, you can say the authorities or the government in general, we can say it is a kind of socialist economy. They are looking forward in bringing about public welfare, and with the help of welfare, they can look forward in bringing about equity and equality in the economy. Okay, equity and equality is generally expected during the imposition of implementation of socialistic ideologies or command-related ideologies of any economy. They won't give forward towards the demand and supply. Every decisions will be taken by the government or the state or the authorities who are ruling that particular economy. Now, mixed economy, we can say they take the advantages of both the market economy. They'll see to it that at all times market is taking decisions regarding what, how, and for whom the commodities are to be produced, but at the case or at a situation of market failure, government or the state will step into its rectification. They will be providing enough amount of solution for any market failure related problems. So you can find mixed economy seen in India, where you can say almost at all the time the market is taking decisions, and if the market is drastically failing, government will come forward and provide their helping hand and try to lift up the market from its crash. So that is mixed economy. And when you ask for particular example for capitalist economy, we had learned in our high school level social science that developed economies are generally capitalist in nature, and USA, England is said to be an example. But in today's world, you can never say there is a better example for pure capitalist market. Even in USA and England, there is a part of the government who is controlling their economic activity. For example, the Federal Reserve of USA. Federal Reserve will make their decisions which is going to affect the market forces a lot. Their president is going to make a decision means it is going to create a lot of problems for the market to function, right? So capitalist economy, we have learned, traditionally learned USA and England as an example, but we in real life, we don't have a proper example for pure capitalist economy. Second one, socialist economy. We had learned erstwhile USSR, China, etc., but now they don't fall into that category. I can give you the best example of North Korea that falls under the category of socialist economy, okay, command economy, where you have the supreme authority who is taking all the decisions regarding how the economy should work. Clear? So with this, we have come to the end of the first unit, a very basic unit regarding what the subject is, how it has been defined by different economists, how it got classified into two different branches, what led to the separation of the subject, and what do we say, what are the three problems of an economy, and how it has been rectified allows us to understand the three different types of an economy. Am I clear with this?
Clear, madam.
Okay, so I'm clearing the board. Moving on to the next one is second chapter. Kindly go through the first unit. Just give a 2 minutes break for me, at least go through the first chapter. If you are having any doubts, please put that in the chat box. And after that, we'll resume with the second chapter. Just 2 minutes. Shall I resume with the second chapter? Okay, this is a basic chapter for your economic analysis because we are going to keep this as a foundation for the upcoming chapters as well. So if you are thorough with this chapter, it can help you learn not only this chapter, the chapters that are yet to come. So it's a very basic chapter of economics, which is dealing with the microeconomic analysis, demand and the supply. Market forces, you are having forces means the one that is coming from one direction is demand and the other one that's coming from the other side is the supply. The important, the important tip which I'm going to provide you is, you have to always, whenever you are learning about demand or a question is related to demand, make sure that you are analyzing demand from customer perspective. You imagine yourself as a customer and approach the situation. You can find the answer when you are doing so. Okay, demand is approaching it from a customer's perspective, and opposite of that is related to supply. When you are planning to be a seller, or you can say you are producer, producing some goods and services, or just you are supplying something. You are just a supplier, a chain, a link in the chain of production. So when you are considering yourself as a supplier, seller, or producer, it becomes a supply. So when you are in a situation of learning about supply, imagine yourself as a seller or a supplier or a producer, and then approach the situation. The answer, you will find it easy to evaluate or analyze. Okay, my first question is, are we just customers? Are we just sellers or suppliers? What is our situation? Those who are in this platform, are we customers? We are consumers. Yeah. And what about the supplier? Are we suppliers?
Oh.
No, we are not suppliers. We are just consumers. We are both actually. Definitely we consume all types of goods and services. But apart from that, are we not supplying our services? It's not just provision of goods alone, tangible commodities alone. We are providing a service. I'm providing my teaching service to you. You are providing your banking service to your customers, right? So you are also a supplier. You are providing your service with the respect of getting some salary, your allowances, etc. So demand, consider yourself as a consumer of any product. And when it is related to supply, you imagine yourself as a banker, as what you are doing, your professional work, and approach the situation. Fine. That is my first and foremost tip. And secondly, we'll learn in detail. It may take a quite amount of time for understanding what demand is. And if I just put the opposite towards demand, it becomes a supply. So supply, I can finish it within seconds or within minutes. Demand may take like around 1 hour, 1.5 hours for you to understand. And supply is just opposite to demand. We'll start with demand. Now in economics, what demand generally means is what quantity of goods and services an individual or the economy is purchasing as a consumer, quantity of goods which they are purchasing with respect to how much they are desiring for that commodity, what is their wants regarding the commodity, and how much they are willing to pay, or are they able to pay for that commodity. See, as a consumer, I may have desire and want for purchasing any commodity in this entire world, but it can only be treated as demand as long as I am having the ability to pay for it. Taking just 100 rupees with me and going into a 5-star hotel and demanding a buffet lunch is not like I'm demanding that lunch. I'm just wishing to have that lunch from that hotel. Okay. I am demanding a lunch as long as I am in a position of paying for it. Fine. So that is what demand is, quantity, and what quantity you are purchasing it. If I'm looking forward to get 1 buffet lunch, 2 buffet lunch, that is a quantity demanded of that particular commodity. So demand of a good, when it is supported by the desire and want for that commodity, you can say you convert your demand, you can convert your desire and want to demand, as long as you are willing to pay for it or you are having the ability to pay for it. Okay. Now, what are the important factors that determines demand for the commodity? Factors determining quantity demanded. So you're looking forward to get the commodity from the market. What will be your important factors which is influencing your demand? My question is, what are the important factors when you are going to purchase a commodity? What important factors you have to consider which will decide whether you have to purchase that commodity or not?
Income.
Need of the product.
Need of the product, okay. Income, yeah, definitely income, because I already said you have to have the ability to pay for it.
Price decrease, madam.
Yeah. First and the foremost factor is we look forward to the price of the commodity. How much does it cost? Is it costly, expensive, or is it in an affordable situation for me as a consumer? Price of the commodity is a very serious factor, very important factor that influences your, what do we say, your consumption, right? And another factor is income of the commodity, as somebody mentioned. See, when price, we are mentioning about the price, it's a very famous law of demand that we have to discuss over here. You have the price of a commodity. I'll take X as a commodity, and quantity demanded is written by QD. Okay, quantity demanded of commodity X. The price is like increasing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The price is increasing like this. As a result, you can see when the price is low, we will be in a position of consuming more of the commodity. When price is increasing, how will it influence your demand? Is it going to increase or is it going to fall?
Fall, madam.
Yeah, it is going to go in the opposite direction. Can you see that when price is increasing, obviously the consumer will be in a position of taking less of it. And when you go in the opposite direction, when the price is falling, he may start from a very minimal quantity. Now he is going into a larger quantity. This is the famous law of supply and law of demand. Very important law of demand. You have to keep a condition, ceteris paribus. Ceteris paribus only means other factors remaining constant. This is a condition, and this law is only fulfilled when all of the factors are remaining stable. The quantity demanded of a commodity is inversely related to its price. Okay, you have to be careful here. Quantity demanded is inversely related to price. It's not like price is inversely related to quantity demanded. Okay, when there is a change in the price, only demand for a commodity is changing. It's not like demand for a commodity is in a situation of influencing your price. You're thinking from your individual perspective. How much I will purchase when the price is changing? That is what law of demand shows or elaborates. Law of demand is negative relationship between quantity demanded and price. Price being an independent factor, and the factor that depends upon this price is quantity demanded. So you have price on the y-axis and demand on the x-axis, and demand curve is downward sloping curve. Demand curve is downward sloping curve, because as and when the price increases, demand falls. As and when price falls, demand increases. Okay, this is the first factor that influences demand for a commodity, quantity demanded for a commodity, price of the commodity. Income has already been mentioned. Any other factors that influences your demand?
Choice or preferences.
Choice of preferences, okay.
Quality of the commodity.
Can you be a little more louder? Your voice is very feeble.
Quality of the commodity.
Okay, quality of the commodity. Okay, I'll give you another example. When you are particularly looking forward to, yeah, income is already mentioned. When you're particularly looking forward to get, for example, toothpaste, are you going into a supermarket or a grocery shop and asking for a particular toothpaste, or you just go and ask them, have you got toothpaste? There are certain commodities which are very particular, right? You will be in the habit of consuming that commodity for a very long period of time. For example, I took the example of toothpaste. You will be looking forward whether Pepsodent is available, Colgate is available, or whatever your favorite brand is available. You are not just bumping into a shopkeeper and asking him whether he's providing toothpaste of any brand. So that is what somebody already mentioned, that your needs, right? It is commonly known as taste and preferences. You are looking forward to get quality of any particular commodity, looking forward to have certain quality, or you will be in the habit of consuming that commodity for a very long period of time. Habit, your choice, okay, your culture upon which you have been grown up. All these are examples of taste and preferences of the commodity. A qualitative factor, let me elaborate, qualitative factor, because it need not remain the same for one person, or it need not remain the same for everyone of the economy. It changes from time to time. You have advertisement influencing your consumption, your habit, or the various situation that influences your taste and preferences. Okay, that is a qualitative factor. And one thing which I saw in the chat box is government regulations or government policies. If government comes forward with a particular rule, law, policy regarding you have to consume this commodity, you don't have to consume this commodity, it becomes a regulation which we as a consumer is like supposed to follow it without fail. Government regulations. Then you have other factors. Okay. Other factors is like some natural calamities occurring, flood coming up, drought coming up, pandemics which we had recently experienced. You never had the habit of using mask, sanitizer prior to the pandemic. It forced us to use everything. So that is another factor. Seasonal changes. You will be using more of, you'll be consuming more of cold items during summer season and less of them during winter season. So seasonal factors, natural calamities, pandemics related, health issues related, all comes under other factors. I purposefully left the second one, which is price of related commodity. See, the first, second, and third alone are in a position of providing you answers quantitatively. You can measure the change in demand with the help of quantitative analysis. Okay. Other three, taste, preferences, government and all, other factors and all, are generally qualitative in nature, subjective in nature. It changes from period to period, changes from situation to situation, consumer to consumer. So 4, 5, and 6 are quantitative and qualitative and subjective. First 3 are quantitative. We are going into the detail of the second one. I hope the first factor is clear. Price of the commodity is clear, right? Which leads you to derive the famous law of demand. Okay. Second one, price of related commodity. Every commodity which we are consuming. Can I take a new page? I'm erasing the first one, this one, current page. Okay. Second factor is price of related commodities. Price of related commodities only shows that every commodity which we are consuming has got its own substitute goods and has got its own complementary goods. Okay, all the goods which we are consuming has some commodities which are related to it, and those commodities are divided into substitute goods and the complementary goods. Now, substitute goods, we know you can consume one for the other. You cannot take them together, right? X commodity or Y. I can go to Canara Bank or SBI for getting the same service. Am I clear? You might have had substitute teachers in your school. When one teacher is on leave, you could find another teacher substituting her during her period, right? Particular period. So that is substitute. You are consuming one commodity or the other commodity, and both the commodities are having the capacity of fulfilling your satisfaction or your need at the same level. That is what substitute goods are. Am I clear to you? Now, regarding the substitute good, any doubt?
Madam.
Okay. So regarding the price of the substitute goods, best example is tea or coffee. You can't take tea and coffee together. Either tea or coffee. You are having the habit of taking a morning refreshment drink. It will be either morning tea or morning coffee. It depends upon your interest. It depends upon your habit, etc. Now, how is price related? Now, price of tea and quantity demanded of coffee, they are positively related. Okay. Substitute goods have got a positive relationship. See, when price of tea is increasing, okay, you are in the habit of consuming more of tea, but unfortunately, due to some issues in the tea factory, the price of tea started to increase. What will you do in order to substitute the consumption of tea? Now, tea is like not so affordable to you, and there is no change in the price of coffee. So will you not be in the position of shifting your consumption from tea to coffee? So when price of tea increases, automatically you will be consuming more of coffee. See, price of tea increases, you will definitely cut down the consumption of tea. And in order to compensate that consumption, you will be shifting yourself in the consumption of coffee. That is the reason you can find here both are moving in the same direction. As a result, they are positively related. At the same time, you imagine the price of tea dropped to a very large extent. Instead of consuming 1 glass of tea or 2 glasses of tea every day, you now increase its consumption. So will you be in a position of consuming coffee? You are already intaking a lot of tea. Will you be interested to take coffee? You'll cut down your consumption of coffee. Here, see, they are moving in the same direction. So as a result, price of tea and demand for coffee is positively related. Right? Is the first case clear? Positive relationship between price and quantity demanded if the two goods are substitute goods. But opposite takes place in complementary. You can see complementary is X and Y to be taken together. You cannot have X as a lone consuming product. Neither can you take Y as a lone consuming product. You have to take X and Y together. This is complementary goods. So how they are related is they are negatively related. Price of X and demand for Y is negatively related. Can you give an example for complementary?
Bread and butter. Bread and butter.
Okay, bread and butter. Those who have attended my class will always come forward with bread and butter or bread and jam. Any other complementary commodities that comes into your mind other than bread and jam? From your own experience.
Gold and jewelry.
What is it, sir?
Gold and jewelry.
Gold and?
Jewelry. The finished products.
No. How can you say gold and jewelry as complementary? You're taking gold and jewelry together? I hope I'm taking it as gold and jewelry as you mentioned. Any two goods which you have to consume together, Like bread and jam, I gave you one example of bread and jam or bread and butter. Other than that, any other examples?
Tea and sugar.
Yeah, tea and sugar. Tea and sugar is another best example. Tea and milk, another best example. You cannot take
Vehicle and petrol.
Yeah, all the automobiles and the petroleum products. If you're planning to purchase automobiles, you should make sure that how was petroleum price influencing your consumption of automobiles. Or when petroleum prices are fluctuating, you should be very particular of demanding what commodity, like what category of automobile you are looking forward to. Everything that we are consuming has got its own substitute and has got its own complementary. Can you use table alone without the chairs? Dining table, I meant that. Dining table and chairs are complementary, right?
Yes,
Toothpaste and toothbrush. Are you purchasing brush alone or are you purchasing paste alone? That goes together. And everything that we are using in kitchen, all are complementary. So bread and jam or bread and butter is a common thing which I provide usually. When price of bread increases or falls, it will have opposite relationship with its complementary commodity. For example, let us say price of bread increases. Obviously, you are going to consume less of bread because now bread is costlier. What is the purpose of consuming jam alone? We know there are various uses of jam. We can use it with chapati. We can make use of it with any other rotis and all. But still, if these two are to be taken together, have to be consumed together, when there is a fluctuation in the price of a complementary good, it will have a negative relationship on the demand of its complementary. So when price of bread increases, demand for jam falls. When price of bread falls, demand for jam increases. Am I clear to you? Okay. So substitute goods, they are positively related, and for complementary goods, they are always negatively related. This is very, very important. Based on this, we'll be working out on numerical questions as well. So the first factor was price of the commodity. Second factor was the price of related commodity. And the third factor, which you have already mentioned, is the income of the consumer. I should see whether I am in a position of purchasing it, whether my income is allowing me to purchase that commodity. So income of the consumer. But before moving into income of the consumer, we'll be categorizing the commodity into three different categories. One is either you will be purchasing a commodity which falls under luxury or the superior category. Second is you'll be purchasing something of normal category, and the third one will be like falling into the category of inferior commodities. So any commodity you can classify them as superior, normal, or inferior. Now, when your income is increasing or there is a change in the level of income, Y stands for the level of income. Okay, capital letter Y stands for the level of income. When there is a change in level of income and demand is changing in the same direction, that is, there is a positive change in level of income and demand for a commodity, then you can say that commodity falls under either superior commodity or normal commodity. So, and please be a little more audible.
Once again, explain, please.
Yeah, I'm going into the detail. See, superior, normal, and inferior, just keep in your mind when there is a change in level of income and demand for the commodity is moving in the same direction, that is, there is a positive change, the good under consideration will be superior or normal commodity. But with respect to change in the level of income, if your demand is moving in the opposite direction, that is when your income has increased and the demand for a particular commodity has fallen down, then that kind of commodity is known as an inferior commodity. Okay, when they move in the negative direction, one is increasing and the other one is falling, then it becomes a inferior commodity. Now, what is superior, normal, and inferior is any commodity which you are purchasing can be categorized on the basis of its quality, on the basis of its price. When you're looking forward to get an automobile, purchasing a cycle will be literally an inferior commodity to you because you're all bankers now. Purchasing a two-wheeler or a decent four-wheeler is a normal commodity. But you are looking forward to a branded or a class qualified luxury commodity will be considered as a status symbol or a superior good. I gave you the example of an automobile. So when your income is increases, you will have a tendency to purchase more of normal or luxurious commodity, and you will cut down the consumption of inferior. When you are getting promotion, will you be purchasing more of cycles or will you be upgrading yourself to better automobiles?
Upgrading to better.
Definitely, you will be looking forward to get new brands of your automobiles, right? You won't be in a position of using any second-hand commodity or even go for walking or even get a new bicycle. That is what the relationship between level of income and the type of commodity which we are consuming is. So positive relationship with normal and superior commodity, negative relationship. You will cut down consumption of cycles. You will cut down the consumption of other inferior commodity, etc. when your income increases. So that kind of commodity is known as, inferior commodity. Am I clear with this? So price of commodity has been done, price of related commodity has been done, and income of the consumer has been done because we can quantitatively measure them. And all other factors I told you, fourth one, which is related to your taste and preferences, your habits, then government regulations, they are all qualitative, or you can say they are subjective in nature because it changes from one person to another, or it moves from, or it differs from one person to another all the time. Okay, so that is what the factors that are influencing demand are like. Any confusions regarding the factors? Very important, because based on these factors, we'll be working on some numerical questions as well. Kindly go through the factors.
Madam, 4, 5, 6, you have written qualitative subjective, madam. Once repeat.
Yeah.
I just got.
Qualitative means is your habit, your consumption pattern going to remain stable all the time? I mean, if you're preferring one commodity, will you be not interested to change your preferences with respect to the influence done by the market or the advertisement?
Yes, madam.
Yeah, it's not going to remain stable, right? It changes from one point of time to another. But there are commodities which will be like preferred by a consumer for a very long period of time. But other than that, most probably there will be a huge influence done by the advertisement and especially now the social media. Okay, so that is the reason why I said it is qualitative or subjective. It differs from one person to another. My interest will not be similar to that of my family members' interest. They will be preferring one particular soap. I will be preferring another different soap. Okay, government regulations again is different. Government regulation changes from time to time. They will be deciding what commodities had to be banned, what commodities can be provided in larger, especially now these days, government is banning export of wheat, rice, etc. because the availability of those commodities is lesser in our Indian economy. So it becomes expensive to those who are depending upon India for wheat, rice, etc. abroad. Okay?
Okay, madam.
Right.
Where can we categorize salt? Like even if its price is increasing or decreasing, like its demand.
Yeah, we are going into the detail of it. There are certain commodities which does not follow law of demand. We are going into the exception.
Okay, okay.
Any other doubts related to these portion which has been discussed?
Other factors.
Ma'am, if income of consumer increases, we will consume more based on this quantitative
Yeah.
effort.
Yes. Quantitative means you can measure your change in income, right? Income is quantifiable. And at the same time, can't you quantify the commodity? You're purchasing 1 kg, 2 kg, 3 kg. You can quantify it, right? That is the reason we have said it is quantifiable, or it's a quantitative factor.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Other factors I already mentioned. Other factors, I told you the example of natural calamities or seasonal changes. That all forces you to change your consumption. Okay, next one which we are going into detail is there are certain commodities which does not follow law of demand, which are generally categorized as exception to law of demand. It's not necessary that all the time the price fluctuation is going to bring about a negative influence on the demand we are doing, or demand, the quantity of consumption, quantity of demand of any product. So one thing which has already been mentioned by one of the aspirants is salt is an example. There are certain commodities that fall under such category which are known as necessary goods. One basic example is salt. Another one is the medicines. Then our mobile recharges. There will be people who are in the habit of reading newspapers without, without any failure. They want to have to see the newspaper at any cost. So whatever be the price, they will be purchasing one newspaper a day. Even if the price is falling, you cannot buy more newspapers a day and keep on reading the same newspaper all the time, right? So necessary commodities or very essential commodities like salt, medicines, etc. does not follow law of demand. A fixed quantity is only purchased that is pertaining to these commodities. It is irrespective of changes in the price of the commodity. Okay. Any other commodities that don't follow law of demand from your experience, life experience?
I'm like gold.
Gold, assets, and do they follow law of demand or not? Assets.
Actually, if people are buying gold, even if its prices are increasing, right? Like it is required to buy.
Why it is a requirement?
Like in case of a marriage, like even if the price is increasing, they are buying gold, right?
That is, you are considering it as an essential status symbol, right? There are many people who cannot even afford one sovereign of gold. So those who consider gold as a prestige good or a status symbol can definitely go for it.
Okay.
They will be buying it irrespective of changes in price. Okay, gold, as I'm telling you, be particular. Gold, if it is considered, or your jewelry, if it is considered as a status symbol, you will be buying it irrespective of the price. But any person who is looking forward to keep it as an investment, will they look forward to the high price, or will they purchase it when the price is low?
Low price.
So definitely they'll look forward as a normal commodity. They'll be purchasing it when the price is low, and they will look forward to sell it when the price is high, right? I was expecting a sovereign to be bought at 35,000 a sovereign, but next morning I came to know that I could get it for 20,000. Will I not be purchasing 1.5 sovereign? Because I have already my budget kept ready for it to get one sovereign at the rate of 35,000. But at the same time, when you are purchasing any assets for the sake of showing it as a status symbol or the prestige value, you will not look forward towards the price. If I have decided to give 100 sovereigns to my daughter during her wedding, irrespective of price, I have to purchase 100 sovereign. Okay, that is my status symbol. Forget the jewelry. What about the iPhones which we are purchasing? The automobiles which we are purchasing. For example, Rolls Royce is like 1 crore rupees, and a family is planning to purchase one Rolls Royce. Even if it goes to 1 crore 10 lakh, is it going to influence their purchase? or even if it has come down to 95 lakh, is it going to influence their decision regarding purchase or not?
No, no, no.
No, right? So prestige goods are those exceptions to law of demand. Even if the price varies or fluctuate, it has got very minimal effect on the consumption of that commodity. Okay, any other exception?
Clothes and garments, ma'am.
Clothes, garments and all, don't you look towards a price and purchase it, sir? You got a shirt for 500 rupees. Next day you came to know that same shirt is costing you only 300. Won't you look forward to get two of it?
Yeah, sure.
So clothes and garments follow law of demand, right? Price falls, you're purchasing more. Okay. Speculative goods is the next one, as some the gold issue itself or the gold example. If you're looking forward, gold as a speculative instrument means you are planning to purchase it today at a price and sell it when the price is higher so that you can make a profit. For example, equity shares. You are definitely purchasing it with an intention of selling it at a higher price. So what is actually influencing your purchase today? Is it today's price or tomorrow's price?
Tomorrow price.
Definitely, you will be purchasing a commodity with an expectation that the price is going to increase in the future. Am I correct? See, I'm planning to purchase one share of a company and today's price is 100 rupees. One thing I'll definitely look forward is whether I'm having that 100 rupees or not. Okay. When I'm having that 100 rupees, I will be purchasing one equity share of a particular company with the intention that tomorrow the price is going to be over and above 100 rupees. So my influence of purchasing a commodity is not today's price, not the price at which I am purchasing it. I am purchasing it with an intention of the price to go high in future. If I am looking forward, I calculated and analyzed and came to know that the price of that share is going to fall in coming days. Will I purchase it?
No.
So there is an exception. I hope you got the idea. Okay, last one is giffen goods. Okay, this is a particular type of inferior good, particular subcategory of inferior good, which is directly related to what? Price. Quantity demanded is directly related to price of the commodity. See, we have earlier explained the difference between the normal, inferior and the superior good. I gave you the example of your own situation where you as a student were particularly depending upon public transportation or walking or bicycle riding when you were looking forward to go to your educational institution, right? As in when you went, that was a normal commodity for you at that point. But now you have got your first job, you are in a position of claiming your own or purchasing your own vehicle. At that point, purchasing a normal vehicle, for example, a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler is your normal good. Now the one which you were using earlier becomes inferior commodity. Fine. Now you are upgraded, you are getting promotion, there is a salary increment, everything happens in your professional life. You will be upgrading yourself from a normal two-wheeler or a four-wheeler to a better one. So again, when you're purchasing a better one, the previous ones become inferior commodity. So there are certain commodities, even though the price increases, instead of cutting down its consumption, you will be consuming more of it. That kind of inferior good is known as giffen goods. I'll give you the example. I'll go back to your particular example. Now, imagine you are in your early stage of your job. You have got your own two-wheeler upon which you are planning to commute to your workplace and to your home back and forth all the time. Now the petroleum prices has started to rise. Okay. what will be your mode of transportation when you see that it's very expensive to take your vehicle?
Electric vehicles.
Okay, but I'm telling you, price of petroleum has increased. You are having an option. Electric vehicles, definitely. Don't you think current charges are also going to increase when the price of petroleum rises?
Yeah, very expensive to buy.
Yeah, very expensive. So electric is not an option.
Public transport.
Definitely, yeah, you'll be making more use of public transportation. But don't you think the price of the bus fare, auto fare also rises when the price of the petroleum increases?
Also,
They will also increase it, no? But compared to your own particular vehicle, usage of your own particular vehicle, what is better for you? To depend on the public transportation. Was the public transportation inferior to you when you were using your own vehicle? Hope you are getting it.
it is inferior.
Yeah, public transportation was an inferior commodity to you when you started to have your own private vehicle. But now private usage of private vehicle has been very expensive because the price of petroleum has gone up. Even though you know that the transportation services are charging you higher fare, it is comparatively better to take public transportation than taking your own vehicle. This inferior commodity, price of this inferior commodity has increased, but still you are making best use of it because you cannot make use of a normal commodity or a superior commodity when the prices are high. I hope you got what given goods are.
Yes, madam.
Yeah. So these are the 4 exceptions to law of demand. Necessary commodities example has been given. Prestige goods example I have given. Speculative commodities, best example is the equity shares and all the other type of investment which people usually do in the intention of selling it at a higher price in the future. Given goods are generally part, like all inferior goods will not follow this situation, okay? All inferior goods, when the price increases, it's not necessary that you purchase more of it all the time. See, kerosene is an inferior. When the price of gas and all has increased, we may not depend more on kerosene because it's a like outdated method now. It's very difficult for you to make use of kerosene stuff. Fine. So it's not necessary that you put all inferior commodities under the category of given good. There is a particular subcategory of inferior good which shows positive relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. Am I clear until now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so can we go for the break of half an hour until we resume the next session?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll be back after half an hour. Okay, thank you.